Hey, what's up guys? It's Artbook Addiction here, and we're here with a new character design analysis. So today, we're going to be looking at Tohru from Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid, right? I love Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid. It's like, I think, one of the best, what is it called? KyoAni shows that I've seen in a long while, right? And, I don't know, I just feel like I have this special connection with the show because of, my channel. Like, it was one of the first videos that blew up was my Kobayashi Artbook video review. So I don't know, I enjoy the show a lot. I love it a lot. But I also feel like I have this kind of like a connection with the show. Like I said, I just really enjoy it, right? So today we're gonna be looking at Tohru, right? I have my little iPad thing, right? Tablet. And I'm gonna be looking at looking at her design and doing obviously the analysis, right? So let me look real quick. Hold on. So the first thing that I want to point out about Tohru's design is that it's very deceptively simple, right? There is, like, you would think that there is like a lot going on, especially from the animation. You'd see like, oh, there's a lot of like flair and stuff like that. But her design overall is actually pretty simple, right? So looking at it right now, you can see that like her kind of like her dress, right? The purplish blue, right? Kind of like navy blue dress. It takes up most of the design, right? The parts that look complex are actually just the little frillies, right? Her little frillies on the bottom of her dress, right? And the frillies on top, right? So actually, without her little thing on top of her head, you really wouldn't know that it's a maid, right? It would just be some kind of dress, like maybe some kind of frilly dress, you know what I mean? And in the show, they point out that her dress isn't actually like a maid outfit, but more of like a cosplay of a maid, you know what I mean? But it's very strong, So looking at the colors right now, right? That's something that I want to focus on. There is a good amount of color distribution, right? Except for the tail, right? But that's important, okay? Because it creates contrast, okay? So let's take a look at the colors real quick, right? So if you look at her hair, right? That's yellow, right? But you can see at the tips, there's a little bit of that red, okay? A little bit of that red. And that works because it's a warm color, right? And you'll notice that her eyes have that yellow and red. Again, it's repeated, okay? And but that's mostly at the top. But if you look at the shoes, right, it's that yellowish kind of like brown, right? So brown is a very special color, right? Because brown is yellow and it's red and it's brown all at the same time, right? So brown is a really, really great color. You just need to change the temperature and move it here and there to basically make the color work with other colors, right? So actually, no, it's yellow, it's a red, and, brown is obviously the color, right? But it could be swayed to any of those things, right? So if you guys are working on a character design and it's not working quite right, maybe try to put a little brown in there, right? But you'll notice that there's the warm on top of the head, right? Her hair, her eyes, right? And then her shoes, okay? But this also works with the skin tone, okay? So if we look at the skin, it's her face, you see a little bit on her arms, and then you see her legs, right? And that is really effective, okay? You gotta have the color distribution throughout, okay? So if you look at the white, okay, of her little frillies on top, right? You'll see it on top, you'll see it on her arms, and under her dress, okay? Color distribution, okay, even. And so we've already built layers of successful color distribution. And so now we're gonna look at, so we have the red of her eyes, right? Her little necktie thing, right? I guess it's like I don't know, it looks like a tie, but more like an ascot. I'm not sure, right? And then her little bow on her waist, okay? But like I said, with the rules before, right? red works with brown, right? So it works with the shoes on the bottom, right? And if you'll notice, there's actually a little bit of red in her like shoelaces, okay? So that's a subtle little detail that, you know, most people wouldn't notice, but it works with the character design, right? You think that there's a lot going on, and there is a lot going on, but they do it very, very simply, okay? So we've covered the colors, right? Oh, you know what? I forgot about the tail, right? So you'll notice that all these colors kind of work together, right? All these colors work together, and then boom, there's the tail, right? So why does this work when compared to the other things, right? So the other colors, everything else is like, you know, pretty evenly distributed. Everything else is like, you know, pretty similar in color, but the tail is something that contrasts, okay? Because the tail is something that they want the audience to focus on, right? It's like, oh, you have this girl, and then like, oh, whoa, she's got a tail. Like, what the hell? Like, you know, the big ass tail, right? And that's like something that is like a focal point for the character, right? So how do we know she's a dragon? She has the big tail, you know? Where does that tail come from? Doesn't matter, okay? Does it make any sense? No, doesn't matter, okay? The character design works, and we care about her, so we don't care about the tail, you know what I mean? And you know, honestly, it's a really cute design, you know what I mean? Cause and you'll see throughout the series that her tail gets bigger, gets smaller. It doesn't matter. It's whatever fits the moment. That's what her tail will be, okay? And you know, it's fun. It's a fun design, you know what I mean? And it works, okay? And it's like I said, it's very simple, right? If you look at her design, you would think like there were like when you're watching the show, it looks like there's a lot more going on, okay? It looks like there's like all like the stitching and all this stuff and you know all this crazy shit, but it's not true. If you look at her design, it's very simple, you know, simply done, and it just works. And that's by design, okay? Because things in animation need to be simple so that they could be clearly animated, okay? The only reason why it feels like there's a lot more going on is because of the level of animation, right? Kyo Annie does a really, really good job with her animation. It's always beautiful. It's always really well done, okay? And the design, because it has those little bits, those little tiny bits of complexities, right? It makes it feel way more significant when it's well animated, okay? Because you could have a character who has like really crazy design, but it's like poorly animated, right? Goblin Slayer, right? And it's not gonna look as good, right? But if you have a simple design that's well animated, it's gonna look like insane, right? It's gonna look like, whoa, how do they even do that, right? How do they make this design so good and also the animation so good at the same time, right? And that's because they keep it simple. They know how to color distribute correctly, right? And they have the little focal points that we need to focus on, right? And those focal points help during the animation, so we know who's doing what, right? So, the last thing I want to talk about is her dragon aspects, okay? So how do we know she's a dragon, okay? So, obviously we have the tail, right? But with all the other dragon girls, they got the little horn, right? So you got the horn and you got the tail, right? These little aspects, right? They really help bring in that hybrid look, okay? And you know, obviously she transforms, right? But these are little clues to inform you, hey, this is not just a regular person. This is a dragon, obviously, right? Her design, I don't know, it's just appealing, right? Something that I really, really like about Tohru's design and just all of the characters in Dragon Maid is the eye design, right? So, like, how do you make reptilian eyes appealing, right? So if you look closely, I'm gonna take a closer look right now. If you look closely at her eyes, right, they're really big, you know, juicy eyes, right? But they got the, you know, the slit, right? But they got the giant highlights, you know, and obviously it's attached to a character that we like, right? And that's a big part of it, you know. But the splashes of color that they add just create this nice appeal. And you'll notice this in with the other Dragon Maid girls, right? They all have like this kind of color contrast in the eyes. Okay, they got a fat highlight and they got the, you know, they got the slit, right? But because they're so well drawn, so cutely made, right? And they have that beautiful color, right? That contrast with their outfit, it creates appeal. Okay, and yeah, her design I think is really strong. Okay, I love her character, right? And so when character and design come together, right, you have someone that feels alive, that feels like a real person, that you could become attached to, right? And that is the whole point of character design, so that the audience gets attached to the character and we love them, right? And you know what? I love Tohru, okay? And I hope you do too, right? I think we can end the video here, guys. Please, if you enjoyed this video, hit that like, hit that subscribe, check out my Prince and Patreon if you want to support the channel. And with that, all that bullshit, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Thanks a lot.